What's good, kings and queens? Hope everyone's week is going alright. This week's video is on the greatest fades in boxing history. Pretty much a video on the most exciting fights in boxing. So I'll be going through the most notable and least covered fights that are absolutely entertaining that I would recommend you watch if you were to introduce to new fight fans. With that being said, let's start the video. Very underrated fight that doesn't get as much love. It literally has everything you would want in a fight at the highest level of the sport. Very competitive first half and a nail-biting 11th and 12th round. Both Tarver and Johnson started the 2004 year off defeating Roy Jones Jr. Tarver giving Roy his first legitimate loss, knocking him out, and Glenn Johnson to follow in his first defense for the IBF title to do the same thing. With both beating the clear #1 guy in the weight class, this fight was to dictate who is the best at light heavyweight. However, Johnson was forced to vacate the IBF title or be stripped in order to face Tarver. For Tarver, he was flat out stripped by the WBC for not facing his mandatory Paul Briggs. With both fighters being stripped or being forced to vacate, can't really have a 12-round bout without a belt organization stepping in. The IBO stepped in to sanction this as a 12-round championship bout, with now the vacant IBO title on the line alongside the ring.
I'm not sure what the IBO is, but the Ring Magazine belt may not be official, but it is the most legitimate belt at stake here tonight.
Tarver would bank in the early rounds.
If he wears him down, two, would you prefer to fight?
Listen, watching a good fight.
You think he tried to do? Going to show a punch and keep it.
Glenn Johnson will warm up and pick up the pieces midway through the fight. Tarver will rally in the final quarter, which then that opened up a hell of a 11th and 12th round.
If you listen, we win the fight. If you listen, you gave me good word, baby. All we got to win this is 2 more rounds, one at a time. After you give me 3 of the best minutes in your life, you come back to me and I'll bring you back.
With the fight on the line, both raised up to the occasion, with Johnson just slightly edging him in the championship rounds.
Hard right hand by Johnson. Best punch of the fight for Johnson, I think. Seizing the initiative here in the 11th. Tarver pops into the left. Johnson walks through it and comes on. Crowd is very excited.
Johnson will win by a narrow split decision and become the IBO and ring champion. He will be named 2004 Fight of the Year by Ring Magazine.
He is the Road Warrior, Glenn Johnson.
Convinces the judges with his energy and his commitment that he was the winner in the fight.
The rematch did not miss a step. Tarver would do a better job in managing the first quarter of the second half.
Johnson is looking to do most, wondering about the brand. Left uppercut. That gives Johnson a kick. Good left, and he continues to let his hands go at a rapid pace. Johnson
27, Antonio Tarver. But I gotta tell you, Jim, every time
good left. Lands another right hook.
Johnson will begin to rally in rounds 8 and 9, tightening up the scorecards.
Trying to do.
Tarver, a lot fresher, would take no chances and let his hands go on Johnson.
Antonio Tarver showing a lot of confidence in himself right now.
However, that would open himself up for Johnson to rally himself, making the 11th and 12th round once again a sight to see.
Hard right hand by Johnson. Tarver momentarily stunned by that. Here's the Johnson rally again. Johnson still wants to win.
One of the best rounds you'll ever see.
Ending the fight strong, Tarver will regain the championship by a narrow unanimous decision. One of the greatest unifications in the weight class's history, after Kameda's record-breaking fight against Naito for the lineal flyweight title in 2009. Coming into 2012, this was Japan's next big super fight. Strawweight prodigy Kazuto Ioka would blaze through the ranks, pick up the national title, then at the age of 21 in his 7th pro bout, knock out the 35-0 WBC champion Oledong Sitsamachai in the 5th round. After failing to become champ in his 7th pro bout for the WBC title in 2007, then losing a fight later, Yashi started back out at square one, rebuilding his career. He will knock out the now well-known Sersikit Rungvisai, pick up the national title, then 2 years later be in line to fight for the WBA strawweight title against Ponsawan, the Tank Popramuk. Exciting championship fight which will lead to a thrilling finish with Yashi stopping Tank in the 10th round. Two champs from two separate gyms, the stars are finally aligned for a unification, which there had not been one in ages. This was hyped up to be exciting as Japan's first super fight, Tatsuyoshi vs Yakushiji in 1994. And for a little historic information, this is the first fight using high definition tape. Look at this and look at the biggest money fight at that time, Tyson vs Holyfield. It's just ridiculous. This is what American fights should have been looking like if they put up the money. Cheap bastards. This was the Pacquiao vs Marquez in the strawweight class. Too close to call. Yashi was not only fighting Ioka, but he was fighting on borrowed time, as both his eyes were almost closed completely. By miracle, he passed every test and not taking any chances. He fought like each round would be his last round.
1、2、3、八重樫が出る。ガードしてますよ。はい、右から左フック。右アッパー、八重樫入った、右フックが当たった。八重樫のパンチがんでことに本当にどっちに右左右。盛り返して互いに打ち合う。自分のキャリアだと言います。左を当てた井岡、ワンツーから右。井岡勝負と見る。ちょっと出た。右ボディ。井岡が歯を食いしばる。
This was an open scored fight, and when the final scores came in after the 9th, you saw a desperation from both guys to finish the fight strong.
どんなところなんですか。気持ちですよ。気持ち。ハード。打ち合う。クロスを打った八重樫。そして井岡、アッパーから左フック。八重樫もまだ当てる。右左。井岡は下がらない。23歳井岡と29歳八重樫と死闘。
The 12th being one for the books, Ioka will become the unified champion by a hair on the scorecards.
これが怖い。右、八重樫と八重樫が下がった。右を受けた。八重樫とパンチが当たった。井岡の動きが止まった。残り10秒。36分間の死闘が終わろうとしています。時代が求める世界チャンピオンは井岡か八重樫か。
This is a series I had the privilege of working and viewing the fight at ringside shooting. The first fight was a battle of nerves. Canelo trained to be lean and as light as possible to have a speed advantage over Golovkin, which proved to be not a good game plan, fighting on his back foot pretty much the entire fight till the final round, which opened up a new game plan coming into the rematch. With the controversial scoring in the first fight, the controversy of the tainted meat situation, which led to non-stop attacks on Canelo. When talking to Canelo's personal photographer and videographer after the weigh-in, how everything has been in camp and leading up to this moment, he told me how angry Canelo was about the controversy, how Golovkin's team fanned the flames, promoting the fight, and so on, to where the camp was dedicated to strength and to knocking Golovkin out. That's a hard mountain to climb there because of Golovkin's physicality, but if that's the case, then we're going to see an amazing fight because Golovkin is going to be going forward. If you're just rooting for a good fight, this is something great to hear. From my recollections, Canelo's locker room was filled with nervous energy. His playlist that day really didn't help either. It really sounded like the end of a final chapter in a movie. Before the walkouts, you had former rival Miguel Cotto come into the locker room to give Canelo his blessings. Then shortly after that, the great Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. came in to give his blessings. At this moment, I'm like, wow, this is some pretty wild stuff right here. This is going to be a great night of boxing. We may see something special here. Alright, enough of my personal recollections and home video. The fight itself. Now, my friend was serious about what Canelo was going to do because he was pressing the fight, fighting forward and trying to force Golovkin on the back foot. The extra weight, strength and conditioning helped combat Golovkin's natural strength, making this an amazing fight. Boxing at its highest level and an absolute nail-biter to the finish. Canelo came into the fight with boos while Golovkin was receiving the majority of the cheers. And I've told this story numerous times. It's like they took the reversible headbands that said Team Golovkin and Team Canelo on them and flipped it to Team Canelo in the second half because that crowd did the switcheroo and began rallying behind Canelo. I have never seen this. What bit Golovkin in the butt to seal this fight was a lack of body shots. Golovkin used to beautifully mix it up, and since the Jacobs fight, he had been abandoning that and head hunting much more often. The lack of mixing it up costed him through the judge's eyes. Canelo will win by a very narrow majority decision. This fight reminded me a lot like Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. It's really divided between who won the fight and who lost. You have people who believe Leonard won and you have people who believe Hagler won. But at the end of the day, if you're just a fan who was just rooting for a great fight, the fans won in this fight. The saddest thing about this fight was you had two guys who pour their hearts out in this performance. There hasn't been a fight of this magnitude, this close and entertaining on this level of the sport in America for a long while. Both believe they won, and Golovkin was devastated by the results and exited the ring. Like I stated before, the crowd had flip-flopped and began rooting for Canelo halfway through. I'm assuming a good percentage had money on him, as he was a 2-to-1 betting underdog. When he exited before the interviews, the crowd completely turned on him, booing his exit. The broadcast turned away from that the best they could, but that was sad to see because he didn't deserve that. HBO Boxing After Dark was throwing down some consistent banger after banger cards. Reputation of HBO Boxing already established, then to open up smaller scale cards, giving more fighters the opportunity to be seen. These fighters, whenever they came on, they wanted to put on a show and they fought hard.
Got he looking for one big clincher.
He's still trying hard, man.
Oh, what drama.
What a fight.
Even though this was neither's first rodeo on HBO, stylistically, this was getting your money's worth fight. Tony was making a slow transition to the cruiserweight class, picking up the IBO title, then the IBA title, then moving up through the IBF ranks before landing him a title shot against Kazakh Olympian and IBF champion Vasily Jero. This fight was an absolute barn burner turned nail biter in the championship rounds.
Fighting hard off the ropes at close range. And late at close range, Tony measuring his Vasily Jero. Vasily Jero only knows one way to fight. He comes straight forward, digging to the very, very close fight. Another big round. Jero, he looked nearly out of it at the end of the 10th. He has come back and dominated the 11th round.
With both Freddie Roach and Tony accepting that there needs to be something big in the 12th round. This opened up for one of the most memorable commentary moments in HBO Boxing and Boxing After Dark's time on air, with Tony doing the impossible, finishing the round big, dropping Jero off in the final seconds.
Look at this.
Oh my God. He got it with the left hook. The right hand. Jero is hurt. Jero is going. The left hook again. The leg's going again. Oh my God. Look at this. Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Look at this.
Jero.
Tony.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Got him.
It's down.
Almost got him.
Got him down.
Unfortunately, we'll see not one, not two, but three of the most worst scorecards rendered for a championship fight, two having it 117-109 and 116-110, all while Harold Letterman scored the fight 113-113. After the departure of champions Kazuto Ioka and Akira Yagashi, when they moved up from strawweight to light flyweight and flyweight, Katsunari Takayama who had been around at strawweight for a long time, becoming champion in 2005. After numerous failed attempts, he will rally, regain the title in 2013. Rodriguez Jr., after his loss against Roman Gonzalez at light flyweight, would find his footing in the new weight class of strawweight, and in early 2014 become WBO champion, stopping the undefeated Filipino champion Melito Sabelo in the 10th round. This will set up a unification against Takayama August of that year. Not many unifications be happening in this weight class, so to get 2 back-to-back and a 2-year duration is a real treat. Please keep in mind, strawweight has not produced a single Ring Magazine champion up to present day, and sadly this and Ioka Yashi was not for the ring title. Really, this fight should have won Fight of the Year for 2014. From round 1 to round 12, it was unbelievable. The 12th round being easily one of the best rounds of the year, with 3 minutes of toe-to-toe action. When it's Mexico versus Japan, for the most part, you are getting your money's worth and then some.
Termina por ganar la posición ofensiva. Entra en Chivas en una ocasión, pero se queda parado. De manera lateral. Vuelve a atacar con potencia. Puede ser el momento. El japonés se queda parado.
Rodriguez will become the unified champion by unanimous decision.
Sigue manteniéndose disparando golpes por todos lados. El brazo le cae. Responde el japonés. Sale golpe de fuerza por parte del Chihuahua, tapado de los ojos. Ataca el japonés con fuerza. Termina por encerrarlo. Suena la campana. ¡Qué pelea!
Despite Martinez's performance washing Alex Bunema and his robbery against Kermit Cintron, Martinez was still slept on into the Williams fight, who Paul Williams had a big reputation as the most feared fighter at welterweight, now making a splash at middleweight. Originally, Paul Williams was set to face middleweight champion Kelly Pavlik in October, then it was pushed to December, then later in October it was cancelled altogether. Martinez will fill in for that December 5th date. The first round will start off like your usual Williams round, with Williams getting the early knockdown. Martinez will begin to warm up to equal the knockdown count before the round ended.
Tonight. Hard right hand, and Williams goes down, and Martinez has evened the round. 9-9. Brilliant.
Martinez would dictate the early rounds before Williams began to find his rhythm and come back into the fight in the midway marker. The second half of the fight would be too close to call, with quite a few swing rounds to where it rested on the championship rounds.
There's another right hook, and another left hand, and another right hook, and another left hand, and another 2 right hooks, and another left hand. And Sergio Martinez is determined to try to win this fight. The crowd is standing. We'd like to stand too, in honor of 2 guys who have fought 12 brilliant rounds. What a way to finish the year.
And the 12th and final round is still up in there. The same way they started is the way they're finishing up.
Williams will win by a close majority decision. However, what ruined the verdict of the fight in Williams' favor was the disgraceful 119-110 scorecard by Chris Benoist. He was either drinking on the job or paid off, because not one judge scored it remotely close to his card. 114-114, 115-113, and Harold Letterman had it 115-113, so he sided with one of the other judges as well. Horrible scoring and potential corruption we've witnessed. The sponsor of this video is DAZN. Subscribe to DAZN for original programming, premium boxing, and more. Get a 7-day free trial with no commitment with the purchase of a pay-per-view. This upcoming pay-per-view show is Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois for the IBF heavyweight title. A lot on the line, as the winner will have pretty much first dibs at the winner of Usyk versus Fury 2. Buy the fight now using the link in the description. Thanks for sticking around, and let's get back to the video. Before the internet, where amazing fights were happening on the other side of the world, but never received a nod as a potential candidate for Fight of the Year by Ring Magazine, all the winners but a couple were residing in North America. In 2006, WBA champion Mayar Manshapur versus Samsak Chawa. This fight looked like online mode in Fight Night Round 3. It was so ridiculous from the opening round, then for this same pace to continue round after round.
On a inversé les rôles. On a inversé les rôles. Toujours devant.
Jean-Claude, quand on demandait à Mayar Machipour, est en train de le prouver, mais en face, il y a du grand. Et attention.
Where in the second half of the fight could have been stopped by either guy.
Aussi élevé. Oh, attention avec la fourchette d'angle, Maillard Rochefort qui a été
renversement de situation, crochet gauche.
Allez Maillard,
la droite.
Maillard aussi là, sur les talons. Attention. Oh, c'est incroyable ce qui se passe ici.
Oh, c'est à nouveau si Chawa qui est en difficulté. C'est un match, un combat fou. Un combat fou.
Allez Maillard, il ne tient plus. C'est pas possible. C'est pas possible.
There was a breaking point entering the 10th round. All three judges had this competitive battle practically tied coming into the 10th.
Maillard, il ne faut plus faire l'erreur. Montez les mains Maillard. Là c'est le Thaïlandais qui est en train de faire partir dans cette 9e reprise. C'est hallucinant. Incroyable. Maillard, monte les mains.
Quelle fierté. Oh, alors.
Ils vont aller plus qu'au bout de leur mère. Oh là là, Jean-Claude, on a plus.
C'est incroyable, c'est incroyable. J'ai jamais vu ça. Il faut pas accepter de prendre des coups comme ça.
Mashapur coming close early in the 8th and 9th, stopping Samsak just for Samsak to rally in the final minute and 30 seconds on the punched out Mashapur.
Et quand on disait juste avant que le Thaïlandais, Jean-Claude, on se rappelle, juste avant qu'il ne monte sur le ring, on disait ce combat va être certainement beaucoup plus dur que prévu.
C'est pas tombé.
Non, c'était faible même. Le mot était faible.
Oh oui. Oh là là là. On ne peut pas en faire tous les jours des combats comme ça parce que là c'est vraiment dur.
The same thing will happen in the 10th round. Mashapur just unloading on Seat Chawa to where it looked like he was finally going to get the stoppage.
Il n'a pas le choix. Il faut qu'il fasse son front. Il faut qu'il essaie de gagner même maintenant. Avant la limite, il reste 3 rounds.
A toujours terminé avant la limite.
Oh là là là. Oh, il en veut plus.
Mashapur left himself open and Samsak just letting his hands go with 30 seconds left on the clock. Samsak could have possibly been seriously injured as this entire exchange, he was only throwing his left hand and very sparingly throw the right hand. Seat Chachawa will get the photo finish stoppage to become the WBA champion.
Mais il reste toujours dangereux. Attention!
Attention Maillard. Allez. Ouais. Et heureusement qu'il va le faire parce que Maillard est à... Oh là, de droite frappé. Maillard. Allez. Attention. Non. Oh, il arrête. Non, c'est pas vrai. C'est un non.
This was a huge fight in France. Due to the coverage and how ridiculous it was from rounds 1 to 10, there was absolutely no way to ignore this as it being undisputably the fight of the year of 2006, which Ring Magazine will acknowledge, giving it its status. Out of all the Ring Magazine fight of the years of the past 25 years, this is possibly the one everyone stateside didn't get to see and missed out on. Rafael Marquez and Israel Vasquez, one of the greatest rivalries at Super Bantamweight, spawning a 4-fight series, the 4th one being sort of a retirement package for Israel Vasquez. The health of his eyes had deteriorated so much that due to his style, he could not last but so long in the ring. However, the 1st through 3rd were just absolutely amazing. In the first match, like how these fights go, incredibly competitive from the first round on. Vasquez will get the upper hand and drop Marquez in the 3rd round. Marquez will rally back and tighten things up. The 7th round, Vasquez will win the round, however, he was having issues with breathing due to his broken nose. Vasquez was forced to retire from the fight, resulting in the 7th round stoppage victory for Marquez being awarded the WBC and Ring Magazine title.
Is this a chance for you for redemption? A chance to make up for what happened 5 months ago?
No, creo que gracias a la oportunidad que nos están dando la vamos a aprovechar.
He's thankful for the opportunity he's getting tonight, and they're going to take advantage of it.
The rematch will take off in the same fashion as the first, however the fight will truly pick up in the 3rd round. Just like in the first fight with Marquez, once again hurt in the 3rd. Marquez will rally back that round, resulting for Vasquez to get cut.
And Marquez landing, incredible action, unbelievable, a right hand attack Marquez, no let up whatsoever.
With Vasquez having a bad cut, this forced him to fight more on the offensive and go for broke, resulting in Marquez to be much more on the offensive than he really wanted to. Both Rafael and his brother Juan are technical fighters that take what is given to them and pile up points on aggression with pinpoint counters downstairs and upstairs till they can finally slow the fight down to their pace. However, Vasquez was overwhelming Marquez with activity, and to keep in mind, Israel has a high punch rate but also can crack when he sits on his shots. Marquez will get floored in the 6th round, Vasquez desperate, going for broke to finish the fight and earn the TKO victory to regain the title. This will be named Fight of the Year. The 3rd fight would top off the 1st and 2nd. You know it's going to be good if Jack Nicholson comes out to watch it. This series with Rafael has brought in the same level of excitement of his brother with his series with Manny Pacquiao, which Vasquez Marquez 3 and Pacquiao vs Marquez 2 was held just 14 days from each other in the same month of March 2008. 2008, man, what a great year of boxing. This was an absolute thriller of a fight, everything you will want in a championship fight. Then for this series to finally make it to the championship rounds, where you saw some of the most exciting action in the weight class. Marquez with the slight edge coming to the 12th round, Vasquez will need a big finish to win, and after almost 3 minutes of nail-biting action, Vasquez will finally get in a shot that would wobble Marquez, then he will fall through, knock him down in the final 10 seconds. The ropes helping Marquez stay up, forcing the ref to call for a knockdown. The knockdown being the ultimate deciding factor, and Vasquez will win the 3rd fight by a narrow split decision to retain his title. This series, for the 2nd year in a row, will win Ring Magazine Fight of the Year. The Gatti Ward trilogy is an immediate go-to trio of fights to show someone who wants to get into boxing. I highly recommend to watch the final episode to HBO's legendary night series, The Tale of Gatti Ward. It's over 10 years old, but it's the best documentary of this fight, with the personal accounts of those who were involved with the fight, some who are no longer with us today, like referee Frank Cappuccino, who made the absolute toughest decision to let the fight continue in the 9th round, creating this classic.
I would have got killed if I stopped that fight. They'd have ruined me. Oh, Jesus, Frank Cappuccino, he really shitted up the place,
Then lastly, the ref in both the 2nd and 3rd fight, Earl Morton, who had passed away of cancer before the premiere of this documentary. Luckily, this fight is easy to find in good quality. Go watch it. If you've already seen the fight and didn't even know the existence of this documentary, this is a must-see.
Somewhere in my life, someone will ask me, what's the greatest fight you've ever called, or what's the greatest round you've ever called, or what's the greatest thing you've ever seen in boxing? And the answer is Gatti Ward 1, round 9. I think that'll always be the answer.
And on top of that, this is the greatest fades in boxing. For more installments, be sure to like, share. If you're new, subscribe to the Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. I'm Office Honcho, and I'm out.